Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Trapped. I'm Sean. We're going to do something a little different tonight. And like I told you guys on the very first episode when I started this, when trapping season's out, who knows what I'm going to put out. But you guys, anybody that's watched my live streams knows that I like to partake in the alcoholic beverages every now and then. Tonight I'm going to try for the first time ever to make my own alcohol. To be specific, I'm going to be making Mead, which is a honey wine. If you don't know what Mead is, it's one of the oldest and probably simplest types of adult beverage to produce. It was back during the Viking days, and I've recently learned that it's pretty simple to make. You need 3 ingredients. Technically you need 3 ingredients: honey, water, and yeast. So those are pretty simple, but there's a few other things that I've, during my research, figured out that I need to pick up. So I'll show you what I've got going on right now. Just to start off, I'm sanitizing everything. I'm using, instead of moving the camera, I'll move the stuff over to you. Sanitizing everything with Star Sand. This is a typical, anybody that brews beer, makes any type of alcohol, dairy farms, this is a no-rinse sanitizing solution that you add to water. I've already sanitized my 1 gallon carboys. I'm going to make 2 gallons tonight. I'm going to start 2 gallons tonight. Got the sanitizer solution. I'll move the camera for this one. Sanitizer solutions in the sink. Basically anything that's going to be involved, you want to be sanitized. So my hydrometer tube is going in there. I got a baster that's going in there. I don't know if I'll need a spoon. I might. Funnel that's going to go in there to get sanitized. Hydrometer itself will go in there to be sanitized. It's going to try to stand up, so we'll stick that in the tube. What else? Let me set the camera down here. I'll not be moving the camera around a whole lot, just for this part of it. Airlocks. That'll go, to allow the air to escape, or carbon dioxide, whatever it is. I'm going to get those full and sanitize them. The bungs, which they call them. So if these are bungs, I guess the if that's a bung, then I guess this is a bung hole. I don't know. Another airlock for the other bottle to fill up with some solution. I read a lot of directions and recipes for how to do this, and every one of them said Star Sand. So I drove 30 miles to go find some Star Sand. So right now we're in the middle of this Corona outbreak, and I went to a local grocery store that has brewing supplies, and they were completely sold out of Star Sand because people are buying it thinking that, I guess, they can sanitize their hands and everything. I guess you could, but it's not very, because this bottle of Star Sand, for a brewer, somebody like me that's brewing, every now and then, that'll last quite a while, but that's like $20 for this bottle. So, and you only use, I think for what I filled up here is half an ounce, so that'll be quite a bit. Is that everything I'm going to be, I think that is everything that'll come in contact with it. That funnel wants to, this is a coal funnel, it collapses. So they collapse that down so it'll all soak in that solution. I'm gonna let that stuff sit for a little bit. Like I said, I already sanitized the jugs, the carboys, and I'm not getting picky on my honey. I went to Costco. One of the few things they did still have was wildflower honey. I figured 1 gallon I'm going to make I guess I'll start off. My introduction to mead was at our state Renaissance Festival. Last couple of years I went up there. Always looked forward to it because of the mead. I love the taste of it. It's a honey wine. It was really sweet, and I'm not normally a fan of anything sweet, but my wife even loved it. So that's what got me interested in it. Once I learned how easy it is to make, the most money you've got wrapped up once you buy your equipment to do it. Sorry about the dogs, they're being stupid. Shut up! Once you got your equipment to do this, most expensive thing's your honey, and if you got like a Costco or Sam's Club, I think I bought, 5 pounds of honey was $9, and then I bought both wildflower honey and I bought some organic, because it's smaller containers. So I figure 1 gallon, I'm going to use three pounds of honey for the 1 gallon, and I will use a pound and a half or 3.5 pounds in the second jug. Try to make it a little sweeter. I've got 2 different types of yeast I'm going to be using. This is what really surprised me, and like I said, I've never brewed anything before, or really, I've thought about making alcohol, but never knew anything about it. But you've got different types of yeast that these different strains will, this one will basically kill itself off once it hits 13% alcohol. This one will kill it. This is a champagne yeast. The red package is a wine yeast. The champagne yeast will go up to, I think it said 20% alcohol. Now that is all depending on, that's where your hydrometer comes in, is it will measure how much sugar is in your must, is what they call it for making wine. How much sugar is in your must that can be converted to alcohol. The way it works for, let me move this camera back so I can look more intelligent when I talk about this. I didn't know this before like a week ago. The way it works, basically yeast eats sugar. These dogs are killing me. Yeast eats sugar, and the byproduct is alcohol. You can say they eat sugar and poop out alcohol, whatever. Because what's in these little packets are living organisms. So they say. So the more sugar you got in a product that you're making, the more potential alcohol you've got, up to a certain percentage, depending on your yeast. So that's why I'm going to try 2 different yeasts and 2 different levels of honey in each jug, just to start off. And it's not going to be a quick process. This video won't end here. In 2 weeks I'll make another video where I'm what they call racking. I will take the mead out of this container, put it in another container, get it off of the dead yeast. 2 weeks should be enough time for it to stop fermenting, and we can do a sample then. Then I'll put it in another container for another 2 weeks, and then we'll test it and bottle it, and then it might, you can drink it then, or you can let it sit for a little while. But I'm not an expert on it. This is just, I've learned from watching a bunch of other videos and reading. But one other thing I did, I will say, I watched a video. I think they're it's CS Brews. If you look up CS Brews on YouTube, I don't want to take any credit for this idea. The way they were making their meat, I'm basically following their recipe. They're CS Homesteading, I believe. And if you've not seen them on YouTube, check them out. I don't know them. I'm a subscriber. They don't know who I am. But they had a good idea that I thought was good. I like the idea of it. They made a tea to put in their mead, and I guess it creates nutrients for the yeast. And it's basically black tea, chopped up raisins, and orange peel. Now I boiled that for, I got it up to boiling, and then I just let it steep. And I will strain that out here in a little bit, and I will add about half of this to each jug. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to let this stuff finish sanitizing. I'm going to measure out my yeast, because each packet's good for up to 5 gallons. I'm not making 5 gallons, I'm making 2 1-gallon containers. So I'm going to do half a packet in each gallon, because that's what I've ascertained from watching the videos is anything under, if you're under 3 gallons or less, use half a packet. 3 gallons or more, or 2 gallons or more. Yeah. If you're under 2 gallons, use half a packet. Over 2 gallons, use a whole packet. So we're going to use a half packet, but I've got to measure out. Each one of these is 5 grams. So that's another thing you're going to need is a good kitchen scale to measure out this stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and get the yeast measured out, let this stuff sanitize. I'll get it out to let it dry, and we will go on to our first step of making mead. One thing I did not mention, guys, depending on what type of yeast you use, the yeast that I've got says to rehydrate at about 90 degree water for 20 minutes. So I've got the yeast rehydrating. This is the 13% in this glass. This is the 18% in the round glass. So all yeast are not the same. Some of them tell you to rehydrate, some of them don't. So we're going to give this, I've got the, I went ahead and put the honey in some warm water to kind of loosen it up a little bit so it won't be so thick. And the yeast is hydrating. So I'm going to give her about 15 minutes and we will we'll get started. All right, guys, in the tradition of all things that should have had a camera on, well, while I was going through getting stuff ready, I actually broke my hydrometer. I moved one of the carboys and the little test tube actually fell. These things are very fragile. Well, I have tried to repair it because I only have one. I put some waterproof electrical tape around it, and hopefully that'll get us close. It's not necessary for the recipe that I'm using, and of course I'm going to get a new hydrometer. Actually, I'm going to get 2 for when this happens again. But it's just, it's not going to give me an accurate reading on the alcohol percentage on the finished product. So maybe it'll be close. So if you guys notice, hey, what's that black line at the bottom of his hydrometer? If you already know how to brew, that's what happened. Okay, what we're going to do now, the yeast has been hydrating. I'm going to go and turn on my handy dandy little scale. The first I'm going to make is the one with the higher alcohol percentage. So I'm going to set this on my scale. I'm going to tear it out. I'm going to put 3 pounds of, we'll go ahead and go with the wildflower honey. I'm going to do 3 pounds of that in this jug. Label was peeling off into my water. Because this should make a drier type mead. Hopefully it'll get us up to, I'll do a reading, and like I said, it ain't gonna be 100% accurate because I broke the daggone hydrometer. But hopefully it'll get us close. Alright, we're at 0. I'm going to go ahead and put in 3 pounds of honey. £3, 0.05 ounces. I'm a little bit off. Okay, so we got pretty much 3 pounds of honey in this carboy. Next, I'm going to add half of this tea that I made, which, like I said, was black tea, orange peel, and some chopped up raisins. But do about half of this tea that I made. Should be about half of it there. Add that in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and shake this up quite a bit just to kind of get it to where it's working on getting that honey loosened up from the jug. Pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to top this off. Grab my strainer because that label was falling apart in there. Drain this warm water out of here that I've had the honey soaking in. We're going to top this off up to about the 1 gallon mark. You want to leave some headspace for the fermentation. We're going to go ahead and top this off with some water. And you want to keep this around above 70 degrees. So you don't want to add hot water, but I don't want to add cold water. My tap water here is pretty good tasting. If you've got like a lot of chlorine and stuff in your water, then you may want to consider using some type of bottled water. But around here, our water's pretty decent. Let me make sure honey water. Yeah, that's a little bit warmer. If you've got a lot of chlorine and stuff in your water, then it probably wouldn't be that great to use to make this. Okay. Now, next fun part will be getting this all shaken up, and then we will take a gravity reading on it with my broken hydrometer. And that sanitizer makes these jugs very slippery, so definitely be careful. If I bust one of my jugs, I'm going to be mad. You want to shake these up good, make sure everything is well in there to get a decent reading. Plus, getting the oxygen into the must is a good thing. Pretty sweet tasting water. So next I'm going to use a very scientific instrument. use this turkey baster here to fill up my test tube looking thing. So we're going to go ahead and take a reading with my broken hydrometer. See where we're at. Spin it and get the bubbles off of it. .108 looks like. Yeah, 1.108, which has the potential to produce an alcohol content of around 14%. 14%, and my yeast that I'm going to be using is up to 20%. So this should turn out to be fairly dry. It's not going to be real sweet. Should use up all the sugars. So we're going to go with that. And we will see what happens with the next batch. This was the one for up to 18% alcohol. I'll go ahead and put that in there. We've still got some head space. Hopefully it's enough head space. We'll stick our airlock on. Get it in there nice and tight. And that's pretty much it for this batch. Now the next batch, I'm not going to film it, but the next batch, like I said, it should turn out to be sweeter because there will be more residual sugars left after the yeast kills itself off. That is the 13% yeast, and that's going to be more for my wife, who likes the sweeter stuff. So I'm not going to film that, guys. It's pretty much the same process. It's just a different yeast and more honey. So I will post this. You guys can watch it, and in about 2 weeks, I will make another video on me, like I said, as they say there, you rack it, which is pulling it off of what they call the yeast, the lees, which is your yeast and all that stuff that settles to the bottom. Sorry, I'm messing with this thing. It keeps sliding up, and the yeast is already starting to react. But when you rack it, you pull it off of, but basically after about 10 days to 2 weeks, all the yeast settles down to the bottom of the jug. So you've got to transfer from that jug into something else and go into secondary fermentation. And we'll do a taste test then. But the one that you guys watch me make should not be very sweet tasting. It should actually be a very dry, if you're a wine person, it'll be a very dry mead, and this second one should be really sweet. Hey guys, just wanted to come in and say, I just finished up the batch that I figure will be sweeter. It came out to, the gravity on it is 1.128, which gives it the potential for up to about 16 to 17% alcohol. Of course, it's not going to get that high because the yeast I'm going to pitch in that will kill itself off at 13%. So this will be a very sweet mead. I just wanted to let you guys know where that one was at. Guys, just wanted to show this real quick. Hopefully it'll show up. This is after about, it's been about 36 hours. So you can see she's bubbling pretty good. That's what it's looking like. So we do have fermentation. As long as those are bubbling, we have fermentation going on. Those little yeast are doing their job, making us some alcohol. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button. We're going to be doing more stuff like this, especially if this turns out good. Even if it turns out bad, I'm going to be doing a lot of brewing type stuff. You know, once I get my feet wet with wine, you know, I'll start making some beer and stuff like that. So might even end up getting into to the moonshine realm, which not for sale, of course. So you guys stay tuned, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon. Yeah, I'm messing with the jug again. And we will we'll keep rolling through, even though it's not trapping season anymore. There's plenty of stuff we can do with the state of the world right now. Anything you can do on your own is it's great. I mean, growing a garden, raising your own livestock, and making your own brew. So, you guys, like I said, hit the bell icon. That way you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And we'll see you on the next episode, guys.